What's up, guys? I was excited to kick off Season 7, new season of Pokemon Go Battle League, with a little bit of spice, but remember, I wouldn't be showing you these videos unless I truly thought it would work. I had a lot of fun using Regirock in Labyrinth Cup, the most recent Sylph Cup, and I thought that it might actually be pretty good in Open Great League, so I decided to give it a shot. This team was actually very successful, but yeah, let's get into some of the video, and then we can talk a little bit about the team building process behind this one. So I have made a previous video about Shadow Gardevoir in the past. I had a lot of comments about asking me to revisit Shadow Gardevoir in Great League, so I figured with Regirock, why not a better time than this? Or when is a better time than this? Let's give Shadow Gardevoir another shot. Team building. The main thing we have to cover here is the steals for Shadow Gardevoir and the poison types. There's not really many poison types. And the fire types, right? So the steals are covered by a fighting move, and the fire types are covered by a rock move. You'll notice both Regirock and Melmetal, they both have access to a fighting and a rock move, so I've selected both of them. And you can see that in these, I guess you'll see in these games that these Pokemon can actually, they do quite a good job, and Melmetal is always underrated in Pokemon Go. That's always how it works. That's always how it works in Great League, at least. So you can see in this game even, we have Regirock versus Azu, which is a matchup you might not think is very good. Regirock, the main power of Regirock is the fact that Stone Edge is a much better move than Flash Cannon from Registeel, and it's a lot cheaper. So you get to Stone Edge in approximately 12 turns. So the same length it would take a Galvantula to get to a Volt Switch, to get to a Discharge, for example, or a Lunge. So it's actually extremely quickly charging. And Melmetal, obviously Thundershock is pretty quick charging as well. Rock Slide is cheaper. Superpower is very powerful too. They can both fire off these moves like crazy. In this first game, I've managed to narrow it down to an Alolan Marowak versus my Melmetal, and I have a shield advantage, so it should be pretty straightforward to take this guy down. And obviously this plays like a normal ABB line. It doesn't look like an ABB line, but for the most part, you're switching into whichever Regirock or Melmetal. There's not really a designated safe switch with this team. You're switching into the Pokemon that you think has the worst matchup versus the Pokemon that they currently have in a lost lead scenario or a neutral lead scenario. So we have an Altaria, for example. So they switch out. Altaria has no play against this entire team, and I've decided that I will stay in this time and just take down this Hypno and win switch advantage, just because Regirock and Melmetal are so good against Altaria as well. So in other games, I've recently started switching to try and catch the Thunder Punch on Regirock for a Hypno switch in. But in this case, I decided to just stay in with Gardevoir. They bring in a Shadow Ivysaur, so at this point, I realize I have to stay in with my Shadow Gardevoir as well. If I switch here to Melmetal, then they'll switch into their Altaria later, and they will probably have their Ivysaur for Regirock. So this is the better scenario. I'd much rather have Regirock not taking super effective Razor Leaf damage from Ivysaur, and we're just going to be able to take out this Altaria no problem. This Altaria versus Regirock matchup is not that good for Regirock. So, for example, if you have to think about bringing in Melmetal or Regirock into Altaria, you want to bring in Melmetal. Melmetal resists all of Altaria's moves, Steel typing, and Regirock does not resist Dragon Breath, which is a majority of Altaria's damage. And if you guys are kind of turned off a little bit by the spice here, don't worry, we got some more standard, I guess, videos coming up. Working on a couple more along the same style that I generally have in the past. It's just really hard at these low ranks. You kind of don't know what you're going to see in a lot of the. It's not a really good representation of the meta. So we have Bastiodon lead. This is obviously awful. I'm going to switch into Regirock, and they're going to come with Jellicent. So this matchup with Hex on Jellicent is not as good as you might think for Jellicent, right? It's a water type, but Regirock kind of shreds. So in this case, they go for the Shadow Ball. I don't shield because the only way I lose this matchup is if I shield a Bubble Beam, right? If I shield the Bubble Beam, then I'm not able to 2-hit KO, or essentially 2-hit KO this Jellicent. I I will end up shielding this one because I really do want switch advantage here, right? It's a Bastiodon. I do not want Bastiodon against Gardevoir. And they're going to come with a Scrafty, and I'm not going to be able to move. So this is why I wanted switch. Look at this. Just absolutely eliminating that Scrafty. The problem here, however, is that I do need to save a shield for Gardevoir or make sure that my Melmetal does not get farmed down. So I'm going to superpower here. And it's a bit of a tricky situation. So they shield 1. And now I'll be able to get both my superpowers and be able to take this Bastiodon down. That's a debuff superpower because Bastiodon is 4 times weak. And then obviously my Melmetal will probably get farmed down by this Scrafty. But I mean, it was only 1 hit. So the Scrafty doesn't really have that much energy. It's a power up punch, I'm assuming. Oh, it's a foul play. Oops, I can't even count in hindsight. But right, I have a shield remaining. And I probably didn't even need to really shield that foul play. I think Gardevoir would survive it. Anyways, but better to be safe than to be sorry, especially when you're streaming, I think. Yeah, there are a couple more uncharacteristic mistakes for me in these games. I've played these battles on stream. I'm still trying to get used to it. It's I don't know if I'll ever get used to being able to talk to people or reading messages while playing. But in this case, they swapped to Azu really late. I think they banked a Sky Attack on their Skarmory. So unfortunately, if you bank a Sky Attack on Skarmory, Regirock's going to beat your Azu with the extra energy. So you can see I'm trying to throw 2 lock-ons, or 5 lock-ons, or 8 lock-ons between these bubbles. A shield, because I think it could be a Hydro Pump, but they're just running play rough. That's fine too. At this point, Regirock outpaces very hard. You outpace Azu to Ice Beams, even. And there's a chance this Azu's not even running Ice Beam, right? So not only do I win shield back, but I actually win switch. Sorry, I win switch back, but I also keep shields even. And we're going to throw Focus Blast at this Bastiodon. I thought maybe they wouldn't know, but they did. And I can't switch anyway, so this Bastiodon gets quite a bit of farm. But they don't have shields, and I have Melmetal, so they're going to come in with Skarmory. At this point, my Gardevoir is useless, and I realize this. So I'm going to swap in my Gardevoir here into Skarmory. Too late. I threw another Thunder Shock. I really should have been spamming. But I'm going to farm up. Oh, and it queued my switch. So a little bit of a messed up game there. But obviously, I'm not going to be shielding anything from Gardevoir. Or on Gardevoir here. And I'm going to just be able to farm down with Melmetal. My win condition here is just getting to 2 superpowers. And I have a shield. This Bastiodon does have a lot of energy. But, I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, reach that second superpower, and I'm just going to be able to fire those 2 off, and that should be game. Yeah, so the goal there, I was trying to switch into Skarmory, because this is very important, identifying your win condition at the end of the game. Once you realize what all their Pokemon are, it doesn't normally make a lot of sense to bring Shadow Gardevoir into Skarmory, but in this case, Shadow Gardevoir is much better against Skarmory than it is against Bastiodon, and those are your only 2 options. So I would have liked to bring it into Skarmory when it had a bit more... what do you call it? So, sorry, energy. So it would have to waste some energy. In this case, we have a G-Fisk. I switched to Regirock. This was a little bit of a mistake. I think I should have probably went to Melmetal. But in this case, I do really want to beat this G-Fisk. If you bait once and they don't bait, you can outpace the Focus Blast. So we'll see what they do here. I shield Earthquake again. I don't think they expected me to go 2 shields down. And I fire off my Focus Blast right away, which they don't shield. And I'm going to be able to lock on down before they get to an Earthquake here. So Regirock obviously can tank Rock Slide. It's not very effective. It is neutral. Rock does not resist Rock, but Regirock has quite a bit of energy now, and there's not too many Pokemon that really like taking a Stone Edge right to the face, and Galvantula is certainly not one of them. And in fact, Regirock will get to 2 Stone Edges. So I would honestly attribute a lot of these wins to the fact that people don't really know anything about Regirock. I switched right away to my Gardevoir. Well, not right away. If I'd switched right away to my Gardevoir, I would have gotten a Synchronize off. But unfortunately, this is a little bit of a tougher battle now. I do have my Melmetal. I'm waiting the switch timer just in case I do need to switch. But I just need to get to 2 Rock Slides here. I know Hydro Pump doesn't KO. And they have Ice Beam anyways. Ice Beam play rough, I'm assuming. But But Melmetal, not that bad of a matchup versus Azu as you might think. The Thunder Shocks are super effective, right? So they do tick them down. If they don't have Hydro Pump, they don't really have a way to take you out either, and these Rock Slides do add up. Bubble nerfed, Rock Slide nerfed. I would say the Bubble nerf is much more impactful in terms of fast move nerfs are always much more impactful than the charge moves when it comes to Pokemon Go PvP. So the Bubble nerf hurting a lot more than the Rock Slide nerf. Or most of the time you're overkilling anyways with charge moves, so that's why the extra 5 damage isn't really too big of a deal. Whereas fast moves, you're really just ticking them down. There's no real overkill with a fast move. So we have a Whiscash lead here. And, yep, so I'm going to take this time to just public service announcement. Servers are still awful out there. My games are filled with can't find match issues, stuff like that. And I'm tapping with all my fingers here. Doesn't matter how fast you tap with Shadow Gardevoir. If you've lagged out, you've lagged out. But this sullied like what would have been another pretty good set. So I ended up tabbing out and tabbing back in. And at this point, I don't think they've even thrown a move. They've just been mud-shotting down everything, staying at 100 energy. So no point staying in this one. But very potentially a winnable game there. Very potentially. I think that first set was a 5-0 though, I think. If I remember correctly. So very strong start to this team. We're going to see how it goes. Instant swap into Alolan Marowak. This might be one of the hardest counters to Alolan Marowak. There's not too much Alolan Marowak can do here. And a Stone Edge, while it doesn't one-shot, it puts it in lock-on down range, which is even better than one-shotting. So they throw Shadow Ball. And look at this. I let them get to another move because I'm kind of dumb. But I'll let it through. And we CMP tied. Yeah, I should have timed my moves, and we're going to take out that Marowak. So not only did I keep switch advantage with Regirock, but I took shield advantage. And that's pretty incredible. In this case, I bring in my Melmetal, and they know the game's over, right? They know all 3 of my Pokemon. I know all 3 of theirs. There's no point staying in that one. So fighting back from that kind of bad start to that set, right? We had that lag out, super unfortunately. Cloyster lead, Shadow Cloyster. This is some day 2 spice, I think. And they actually switch out with an Icy Wind. I would have had a shield for sure, but instead I'm going to be able to go into Melmetal against this Wiggly. So if they bring in their own Charmer, obviously you want to bring in Melmetal. It resists Charm. Regirock does not. Regirock can beat most Charmers in the one shield because of its bulk and incredibly powerful moves. But in this case, I'm actually just trying to farm all the way up. I don't mind spending a shield against this Wigglytuff because they've already spent a shield first. And I now have an extra Rock Slide to throw against whatever comes in. They banked the Icy Wind, right? So that's fine. I'm fine letting this Cloyster run out of energy and being able to lock on down. Because now I have a full move versus this Umbreon. I decide to bring in my Gardevoir first, just so I don't have to deal with any sort of residual energy, and I'm just going to throw the Synchronoise. It's the charms that they really have to worry about. But not only do I get the shield, but they also take a ton of damage, so I don't even need to Focus Blast here. But the Focus Blast was ready. I was ready for Regirock to once again have its day in the sun. Honestly, the MVP of this team is Regirock. So let's talk about how to get Regirock. I really should have talked about this earlier. This is kind of a Deoxys defense answer. You can't really get Regirock for Great League right now. It was a long time ago where the Regis and Legendaries used to be in rewards. Or, sorry, research rewards. End of the 7-day streak thing. But they have since been removed, right? So that was the only way you could get Regirock and Regice under 1500. And I was playing during those times, so I have one. And it gets pretty close as well. Actually, this one came from a trade, but I traded another Regirock for it. So obviously Machamp, really tough to see here, taking down that Regirock. I have to no shield. This Ice Punch is boosted, but I really do need to keep my shields. And eliminating that Metacham is pretty big, because now I can come in with Melmetal, and Melmetal looks uncountered. I actually let this Weather Ball through. In hindsight, these charms are adding up. I really should have shielded this, and that was just a poor split-second decision. Because yeah, if they're not switching out, that means they've got something even weaker than Ninetales in the back. And we're going to see what it is. But sometimes, even with 2 shields, you can't beat the things that you're supposed to counter. So I will shield this one. Or do I let it? Yeah, I decided to shield this one. And switch out to Gardevoir to take down that Ninetales. And in comes Bastiodon. So a bit unfortunate here. Because 1 superpower is not enough to take down Bastiodon. This thing is too tanky. You need 2 superpowers. So I'm going to lose this game. Bit of poor play on my part. But the team itself was built perfectly to take it down. And I did let Regirock down a little bit here. This is what happens when you play on stream. Gardevoir, we're going to see a Stunfisk lead. And I'm going to swap immediately to Regirock. So I don't mind switching immediately to Regirock. Because at that point, they don't have any extra mud shots or anything. But I decided to no-shield the first one. Because they did not get up to 8. So PSA also charge up to your highest move. Then they decide to let this Focus Blast through. That's fine. I can try and lock on down. It might take a while, but they're just going straight Rock Slide now. I think they might be single moved, to be honest. And I am actually going to spend 2 shields here. This might be the worst decision ever. It could be great. But getting this energy on Regirock is absolutely important. Even if Azu comes in and it's a threat to farm down, we're going to pump some, get rid of some shields. I'm actually going to swap right into Gardevoir. Because I know that my Gardevoir can't come in later. It has to come in now. And it's going to take quite a bit of damage and go down. You can't beat Azu with Gardevoir. So I do have a tough decision to make. Really have to hope this Azu isn't running Hydro Pump. And I'm going to try and farm it all the way down. No, I'm not. I lied. With Melmetal. I'm going to throw this Rock Slide just in case it is going to the pump. Get that last shield. And I think it is a pump. If I remember correctly, this was a pump. But you live. And are able to farm down. So this is very important. I need to really watch what's coming in next. The Skarm. So I have a Rock Slide. I throw my Rock Slide and switch right to Regirock. Because I have another Rock Slide. And I took an Aerial Ace that got through during my move. If I didn't swap, my Melmetal would go down with a full Rock Slide worth of energy. So that's my Advanced Mechanics 2 video, if you want to check that out again. I was able to preserve my Melmetal's HP, and able to bring this Rock Slide back in later. So this is a Mechanics win, and you should always be happy when you get a Mechanics win, right? It means you're truly outplaying your opponents. And yeah, so another 3 set. Really, this one should have been... It's 3 out of 4, right? That first game lagged right at the beginning. There's a good lead. I got the Whiscash right where I wanted it. Probably would have been a win, but you never know. Gyarados lead, I'm really hoping it's running Dragon Breath, and it is not. That's a waterfall. It is starting to add up. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to shield an Aqua Tail. And I switch at the exact same time as them. I'm not sure why they switched, but I'm switching because I have an ABB team, and I wanted to farm down the Gyarados with Thundershocks. They somehow just switch at the same time with their Gyarados at like 1 HP. And I'm going to get half of this G-Fisk HP and a shield with Superpower. And I'm just going to let whatever through. It's a Rock Slide. That's fine. I was fine to let my Melmetal go down. It's super debuffed. And now this G-Fisk, I'm in a bit of a tough situation, right? This G-Fisk is low, so I can't really go in with Regirock. And I make a poor decision and let my... Yeah. Let my Gardevoir go down. In hindsight, I really should have went in with the Regirock first. Or shielded, because I had that charge move ready to go on Gardevoir. And I'm going to be able to get to this Focus Blast versus Sirfetch'd, so... Look at this. In the 1 shield, Regirock beats Sirfetch'd if you have a little bit of an energy advantage. But they're going to come in with that Gyarados that they saved at the beginning. So, joke's on me, I guess. They had the plan the whole time. But I feel like, once again, the team gave me every opportunity to win. I just didn't let it. So, I realize I actually have to stay in here versus Empoleon. At least for a bit. But I realize they're just going to farm me all the way down. And that's not a great scenario. So, Empoleon lead is something that this team cannot really handle. Just because Regirock is also incredibly weak versus it. And I at least am going to get a shield. And they're going to come with Scrafty. I should have maybe superpowered a little bit earlier. I think I was trying to go for the CMP tie. but they didn't power up punch. In this case, I'm just gonna go back with my Gardevoir. I got Charm through, so I shield the foul play, which is unfortunate, but that Charm is gonna take out that Scrafty, and then I'm gonna be able to take out that Empoleon as well. So Altaria comes in. This is great for Shadow Gardevoir, but the game is by no means over. Well, it's over, yeah. They shielded the Synchronoise. But you'll see these Dragon Breaths do add up. And if shields are up, then Regirock does have some real problems. I would not be surprised if Altaria beats Regirock in the 2-shield. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it is rough. But we're gonna eke out that win anyways. Altaria just has no play against the entire team. Like, these Altaria teams, it's very, very tough for them to win. Like, what do you do? They even got their preferred matchup, Altaria versus Regirock, and they still couldn't do it. So move Skarm. I'm gonna immediately switch into Regirock. And guess what? Out comes Azu. This time this Azu swapped a little bit faster. So let's see if we can still outpace enough in the 2-shield. So I'm gonna get my second Stone Edge off before they even get to a single move. And they're gonna take it. So honestly, at this point, I could probably spend shields to just lock on down, but I'm not gonna do that. I want Switch really badly, that is for sure. But I don't think lock-oning down is the play. I'd rather grab shields back. And I'm fine to spend another shields here, even though it's probably an Ice Beam, because I do think that I can win Switch. Or no, I don't. I gave up and decided to go for the Snipe play instead. The reason I was okay with this was because my backline is so good against Skarm that hopefully they're able to deal with it. I decided to go back into Regirock. In hindsight, I probably should have went into Melmetal. Thunder Shock damage is a little bit better. But I'm able to lock on down, and we're going to see what's in the back. It is a Shiftry. So I was kind of worried it would be a Swampert, right? Skarmory League, you usually see a Swampert. So Skarmory, Azu, Swampert, pretty standard team. I decided not to get too fancy. That's their third Snarl, and a Leaf Blade will take me down. So instead of going for the Focus Blast, I do go for just the Stone Edge, and it doesn't quite take him down. But I do have a full health Melmetal on the back, so Shiftry does not appreciate a superpower. He's trying his absolute hardest to stall that out so he doesn't have to take it, and I overtap a little bit, but it is what it is. That matchup was quite far from me losing it at that point. Yeah, Regirock once again able to pivot and win Switch. Honestly, a win Switch against so many things that that people are thinking that is a counter. Like, just because Jellicent is a water type does not mean it is a counter Regirock. Azumarill, you can't afford to switch that in slow versus Regirock. You have to switch that in right away. So we have a Alolan Marowak lead. I'm going to swap to Melmetal, I think, in this one, right? Because Alolan Marowak is better against Melmetal than it is against Regirock. And unfortunately, they're not swapping out. Well, I'm going to take the Bone Club, because they threw really early. And my goal here is to either win Switch or to win Shield. And by taking the Bone Club, I've kind of signified I just want to win Shield. Because it's likely that they're just going to farm me down here. We threw 3 moves between us. So the Switch timer will be worn down quite a bit by the time I go into my Regirock. You see I'm weighting it down now. And I'll go in with the Regirock. And at this point, Switch timer is pretty much back up. And I'm in a very comfortable position. No, not that comfortable. Shadow Ball chunks. And I actually switch to try and catch a Bone Club. But then I realized it might be a Shadow Ball. So they're going to swap into Beedrill after this. And at this point, this is kind of hard counter after hard counter. They had multiple answers for the Gardevoir. I'm throwing my Stone Edge, even though I know I'll lose CMP because I'm at max energy anyways. So there's no benefit to not just throw this thing. And this team was entirely weak to Regirock. And I still somehow could not win. Or could I? We'll find out. No, there's no way. Yeah, I go for the Stone Edge. I know I won't get to the Focus Blast. I go for the Stone Edge just to see how much damage it'll do for later matchups. And it's not enough. So, yeah, a little bit of misplay here. And a little bit of, yeah, I should have just managed shields better. Played around Regirock more. It is what it is. And that's the thing is, like, I should have known something was up when I go in with Melmetal and they stay in, right? That's when you kind of know something's up. And they must be weak to rock or fighting or something like that. Okay, so Probopass lead. I swap into Melmetal. And I don't know why I swapped specifically to Melmetal in this one. I think I was just testing it out from the last game. I'm just going to throw superpowers at Whiscash. So you actually do get shields back on Whiscash most of the time. If they don't spend shields, you can win it by spending one. But in this case, Whiscash also spent its energy, so my Gardevoir is going to be able to take Whiscash down without using any shields. I think. It'll be very close, actually. So they didn't get the charm through. Yeah. 5 to Mud Bomb, and they're going to come back in with Probopass. I shield the first one because it could be a Magnet Bomb, but it's a Rock Slide. So in hindsight, I really should have shielded. The Rock Slides are neutral, though. Remember, Rock does not resist Rock. And we're going to take out that Probopass. Unfortunately, I should have charged up a little bit more because this matchup is not that comfortable either. Oh, I remember this game. So I decided to no shield the first one. I really should have shielded. It's a Dark Pulse. I thought it was only going to be a Thunder Punch. And then I've kind of put myself in a little bit of a hole here by staying in and letting myself get almost essentially farmed down. I saved my shield for Gardevoir, but my Gardevoir is a bit... Look how much damage those poison jabs do. And we're just going to end up tying here. But once again, I really should have won that game too. A lot of poor play for me, especially in this set, resulting in a tied set. So no reward, or no Pokemon encounter reward for me, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens in this last set here. We have a Shadow Swampert lead. This is way better than regular Swampert. You only need to invest 1 shield to beat Shadow Swampert. Regular Swampert, it depends. And they swap into Clefable. I take a couple charms because I'm not used to seeing a Charmer. That's not on purpose. You really should be switching right away. I switched to Melmetal, which is the Clefable counter, and we are going to Thunder Shock down. That sucks that they get to a move, but like I was saying on stream, I knew they'd get to this move, but nothing that Clefable has really hurts Melmetal too much, and this prevents Melmetal from really getting farmed down all that much, and they're going to have to shield these superpowers, right? They can't just let these superpowers through. So they did get quite a bit of farm. So I'm still in a bit of a tough position, despite getting both of their shields down. Regirock does not deal well with Swampert, and they pop in with Abomasnow. So I throw this game too. I really should just have deleted this Abomasnow with Synchronoise because I had it up. Right? But instead, I let this Abomasnow not only farm me down, or it get me low, I could have thrown the Stone Edge to take it out. But that's a loss. If I do that, it's a loss because this Swampert gets an additional Mud Shot. If this Swampert has 1 more Mud Shot, I lose this game, right? So I intentionally didn't throw the Stone Edge once I'd switched to my Regirock. Once I'd realized my mistake. The mistake was switching to Regirock in the first place. Shadow Gardevoir could have just closed this match out by herself. But yeah, that's why you have to be careful switching sometimes. Scrafty lead, oh, you love to see it. They always stay in for like 1 hit because they don't know if you're Confusion or not. Oh my god. And then Gengar comes in. Okay, so the bad play didn't stop here. I remember this too. Versus Gengar, please swap into Melmetal, right? You don't need a Stone Edge to take out Gengar, and you get your Rock Slides faster on Melmetal. So this is actually a bit tough. They charge all the way up to a Focus Blast, but I don't think they're running Focus Blast in Great League. There's no way, right? So I just let these through. Another Shadow Punch. And I don't get to that Stone Edge. I really thought I did. That's why I let the second Shadow Punch through. Instead, I have to come to my Melmetal. Same thing. I know they're running Sludge Bomb at this point. They know I know they're running Sludge Bomb. And they actually make a great catch onto their Scrafty with this Rock Slide. But like I said, you catch it, it doesn't matter. Gyarados is going to take you down. They come with Gallade, so a little intra-species violence here, right? Brother and sister at arms. I'm not sure why they came in with Gallade, but I think maybe they felt bad about me coming in with Regirock instead of Melmetal in the first place. And they threw the game right back to me. Me and my opponent here playing a game of catch, see who can lose this game the hardest. And it turns out it will be my opponent that can lose this game the hardest. But neither of us played very well there. It is what it is. I almost threw that like perfectly good lead. And Melmetal versus Gengar is pretty good. It's much better than Regirock. Machamp lead. You love to see the fighter leads here. The problem is if they do switch out, they can get farm. So we can see Hypno. I try and catch with Regirock. They're trying to go to Focus Blast, and they are at it if they have it. So it's tough. I do respect it and go for the shield. And once they throw the second punch, it's very obvious they don't have Focus Blast. Shadow Ball, in fact. So I'm fine charging up a little bit more. I don't want to get farmed down by this Machamp anyways. So I'm going to throw right before this Thunder Punch. I don't want shield, and this Machamp can take me down. That's fine. Go with Gardevoir really fast, and they switch right away. What is this? This is Shadow Electivire. What am I even seeing? This thing has Flamethrower too, but I guess it's not running it. Ice Punch and Wild Charge, probably the preferred moveset, and Rock Slide Chaos. That was an absolute mistake. That was an awful play. I did not realize Rock Slide one-shot. I thought I would be able to farm down afterwards, or at least get a little bit lower, but they actually just quit. Or let that through. I feel like if the Machamp had just stayed in, got to 2 Rock Slides or Rock Slide across chop, successfully baited, they could have beat Gardevoir, but they just let the superpower through. So it's a couple paid actors today, but this is what it's like grinding through the trenches sometimes. We've got a Swampert lead, so this is going to be the difference between Swampert and Shadow Swampert. You can see they're pretty much at 2 moves already. Yeah, so they're at 2 moves. And I need to think about going 2 shields down. Instead, I decide to no shield to see if I can live a Hydro Cannon from a regular Swampert, because I don't know the matchup. Turns out you cannot. And I come in with Melmetal, and they swap right away. So this has given me a win condition yet again, right? I can't really take down that Swampert without taking another Hydro Cannon, but if I can build up some energy on another Pokemon that can't really hit Melmetal back very hard, for example, an Abomasnow, this matchup gets a lot more palatable, right? Because I was down a shield and a Pokemon at the very beginning. So it's going to be very hard to bring this back. The Swampert is in Rock Slide range though, and honestly is in lockdown slash lock on slash Thundershock range as well. So I decided no shields here despite being at a move. That's because I think lockdown does a little bit more damage per second than Thundershock does, just because it's a 1-turn move. It does a minimum 1 damage, right? So it kind of, even though Thundershock is probably only doing 1 damage to that Swampert, a bit of lag there, only dealing 1 damage to that Swampert. Lock-on should be doing that, except more often. So in this case, I don't throw my move right away. I probably could have won in 1 CMP there, but instead I wait for them to switch in to throw my move. I think they thought they were catching, but in reality, I thought Mudshots might do a little bit more damage than Dragon Breaths. So I decided to throw my energy at that Swampert. They did not catch my move in this one. In the last game they did. In this one, this was an intentional throw. So just in case you're wondering if you should be throwing, like what is the scenario in which you're throwing a Stone Edge at a Swampert. So Shiftry lead, great lead. Yeah, look at that damage. And in comes Alolan Marowak, so you know the drill. This is a really comfortable matchup. Don't worry about over farming on Regirock as well, on the first one. Just throw your Stone Edge. It doesn't KO anyways, so it gives you plenty of time to lock on down. And most of them shielded anyway, so we'll see how this matchup goes. They're going to throw another move. Likely another Bone Club. If they are going to Shadow Bone, they usually do on the first one. So I'm going to farm up a little bit, not too much. But they're going to shield again, so 3rd time's the charm. Yeah, they'll get a shield out of me. Unfortunately, Regirock does not win the 2 versus 0 shields versus Alolan Marowak, but they do switch right away. And unfortunately, I've learned I can't take a Hydro Cannon from Swampert. I definitely cannot take a Leaf Blade from a, what do you call it? The Shiftry. So this Alolan Marowak is finally going to get the job done. Just kidding, it's not. And Gardevoir is going to take it out with a Synchro Noise. You don't need Shadow Ball here when it's this low. They're going to come with Toxicroak. So this is actually still very scary. Toxicroak, very hard counter for the back line. But this is what happens when Toxicroak is in the back and you win lead. You don't have the opportunity to draw it out. So it's an auto loss, right? Like you auto lose to Toxicroak in the back. No, you don't. You still beat it. Because at this point, hopefully you built up enough of an advantage from winning lead that you can transition these bad matchups into good matchups, right? And we're just going to throw our moves at Toxicroak, who's a relatively squishy Pokemon. Look at all these resisted moves. I made a small mistake. Melmetal should have thrown Superpower instead of Rock Slide before switching. So I don't know why I clicked Rock Slide. But it is what it is. We're going to have another 4 wins in this set. Or was that 5? It was a dust at the end there. Is that 5? Wow. Okay, well, even better than I thought. But yeah, so this is the team. I understand it may not be as popular just because a lot of people don't have access to Regirock, but Regirock is an absolute blast to use. I loved using it in Labyrinth. I've loved using it in Open Great League so far. If you have one, I'd give it a shot. And extra Stardust. I don't want people to spend their Stardust for no reason, right? But Regirock, I think, is a decent reason. But yeah, as always, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. We got a more standard team coming out pretty soon here. Pretty soon. But yeah, I'll leave my socials and everything in the description as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.